Welcome to Truth, the game show where we award a $1 million prize to the contestant chosen by our audience. We have 6 challengers hooked up to lie detectors, which I'll be monitoring. In every round, we ask each of them 5 questions chosen by our audience. Then we vote one off based on their answers. Let's meet our contestants. Why don't you each tell me a little about yourself?
I'm Joe. I'm 28, and I'm from Philly. Let's go Eagles.
My name is Alexis, and I'm born and raised in Beverly Hills.
My name is Sam. Hello. And I recently moved out here to Hollywood to get in the film industry. And I've been writing a long time before I even got to town. And I've got a lot of scripts. I'm willing to show them. Hit me up. And I'm very excited to be on the show.
I'm Autumn. I'm a California native, and I grew up right here in Los Angeles.
Hi, I'm Claire. I've never been on TV before. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I go by Lilith, and I'm from Van Nuys, California.
Let's see what the audience wants to ask first. What is the worst way you've betrayed a friend?
I don't have friends, but I have betrayed people. When I was in high school, there was a girl in my class who told me she wanted to kill herself. And I could have helped her, but I didn't. And in hindsight, I do wish I had. I ran into her recently, and she's married to a loser, has 2 ugly children, and works part-time as a waitress. If I had helped her commit suicide back then, she wouldn't be suffering like that. I offered to kill her now, but apparently it's too late. She doesn't want to die anymore.
You're the conductor on a runaway trolley. There are 5 people on the tracks ahead of you who cannot get off the tracks in time. If you continue forward, you will run over and kill all 5. You cannot stop the trolley, but you can change to an alternate track where there is only 1 person on it. If you decide to change tracks, all 5 people on the original track will live, but the person on the alternate track will be run over and die. Do you change tracks?
So if I stay on the first track, I get to kill 5 people without the possibility of getting in any trouble whatsoever. But if I change tracks, I only get to kill 1, and there's a possibility that I go to prison. Why would I possibly change tracks? Is this a trick question? Is there a way to kill all 6? If there is, I don't see it. I'd stay on the first track and settle for 5.
What is your most controversial or unpopular opinion?
Owning pets is wrong and should be illegal. If your dog or cat isn't free to come and go as they please, they're not your pet, they're your prisoner.
What is your most embarrassing guilty pleasure?
Walking naked through the woods. I'm much more comfortable around trees and flowers than I am around people.
What would you do with the money?
Well, I've been working on a film for several years. It's kind of like my main baby when it comes to screenwriting, but I haven't had the capital to produce it. It's a superhero film, but get this. In most superhero movies, someone gets powers. They either become the good guy or the bad guy. What if they just still remain a guy and they don't use the powers? Maybe they're like, they try them out, but then they're like, you know what? I'm just going to stick to my regular life. And it's a superhero film that turns into just a slice of life normal guy film because he doesn't use them. And then at the end, when you think he's like, oh, he's about to save the day, the powers get reversed and he loses them.
What's your most unusual talent?
I'd say my most unusual talent is that I can solve a Rubik's Cube in under 2 minutes. And, it's not a world record or anything, but it's pretty good. I'll break it out sometimes, maybe if I want to impress a date, and then I'll say, now you try. Actually, that has had the opposite effect, though, because they felt that I was rubbing it in their face that I was so good at it. And then I try to tell them that I wasn't trying to brag. I'm good at making things awkward, too. That's a pretty good talent of mine as well. But yeah, I'll stick with the Rubik's Cube.
What is your most unusual talent?
I know how to survive in the wilderness. I can tell what's edible. I can build a shelter and a fire. I can clean water so it's safe to drink. Just survival skills in general. I don't like being dependent on money or on society, so I learned how to get by on my own.
What is your proudest accomplishment?
I organized a demonstration to save a park, and it worked. They were going to level the place and build a distribution center. We had people protesting at the site for 3 weeks straight and got over 1,000 names on the petition. They ended up building the distribution center on the site of a nearby abandoned mall instead, so we didn't lose any jobs or anything. It was a complete win.
What were you like as a child?
I was a straight A student. I had perfect attendance and all that. It wasn't until I became an adult that I realized how conforming to society's standards was actually a bad thing. If I could go back and do it again, I'd focus more on enjoying my childhood.
That's the end of this round. We'll soon find out who will be going home after this message from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by onesock.com. Does it always seem like you have an odd number of socks for some reason? Onesock.com lets you buy one individual sock so you can finally even things out. That's onesock.com. Use offer code TRUTH, and they'll include a second sock absolutely free. Now it's time for the audience to vote. Please enter the selection of the contestant you think should be going home. The votes are in. The audience has voted to send home Joe.
That's fine. My ex and her loser boyfriend would probably get the money anyways because our legal system sucks. So, whatever.
Let's begin round 3. What is your most controversial or unpopular opinion?
Okay. There's this James Bond movie called The World Is Not Enough, where Denise Richards plays a physicist. Everyone was making fun of it, saying that she did a terrible job and that it was sexist of them to cast her. Here's the thing. She did fine. If she was more plain looking, I guarantee nobody would have said anything. The people who are saying that it was sexist are the sexist ones. They don't believe that a woman can be hot and smart enough to be a scientist. And that's the most sexist thing you can do.
Describe a typical day in your life.
My days are really busy. My trainer wakes me up at 8, then I hit the gym for 2 hours. I head downstairs to get breakfast. Then I take a shower, get my hair and makeup done. Then I get dressed. And I take my first selfie of the day. Then I talk to my agent and she tells me what photo shoots I have or other obligations. On the rare days that I'm not that busy, I get to come on things like this show.
What is your proudest accomplishment?
My proudest accomplishment. I would probably say when I hit 1 million followers. That wasn't my only milestone, but that one definitely stuck with me.
Have you ever cheated on anyone?
No, I would never do that. And I've proven it. I was asked out by Ryan Gosling, and I said no. I was dating a guy at the time. We weren't serious, but I don't cheat.
What's your most unusual pet peeve?
Pet peeve. When my chihuahua poops in my purse. I carry her around everywhere in my bag. I wish they made like a harness so I can carry her around like a purse. And then they had pockets so I wouldn't need another purse at all.
Describe a typical day in your life.
Well, usually my day is going to revolve around what I'm watching and what games I'm playing. So, work aside, when I have free time, I'm going to be binging something, and just got done with The Last of Us, binge The Mandalorian, currently watching The Winchesters, and then I'm going to play video games, gaming, a lot of RPGs, and I am immersed in that world. I take gaming very seriously. Oh, and one more thing I take very seriously, snacking. I will always have some snacks on standby and some beverages, and I like playing with snack beverage combos. Yeah, that's pretty important. That's my day.
What is your happiest memory?
I'm going there in my mind right now. Absolutely, my happiest memory was going to see The Phantom Menace on the big screen. Star Wars Episode 1. You see, let's rewind. I thought I would never see new Star Wars in my lifetime. So when that came to pass, and I found myself butt in seat, looking up in a theater, brand new, taking me to a galaxy far, far away, the iconic scroll, the Star Wars logo, the score, John Williams. I can honestly say I was never happier. Now, the quality overall of the prequels, that is another conversation. But for that frozen moment in time, kill me now. I'm good.
What is the worst way you've betrayed a friend?
Well, I try not to betray friends, but okay. I spoiled Avengers Infinity War for several of my friends and coworkers. So, opening night, I saw it twice. I got my tickets in advance for 2 showings right in a row, back to back. I was at the theater for like 6 hours just downloading Infinity War, and it was awesome. But I'm like, okay, Friday, maybe people haven't seen it yet. Over the weekend, I saw it 2 more times. I go into work Monday. I assume that everyone has seen it. It's a phenomenon. It's like the movie grossed like $2 billion. I don't know how much everyone saw it. I assume they all saw it opening weekend. And I started going on about the people we lost, the Avengers we lost, the snap. I really spoiled that movie for a lot of people. I had a lot of apologizing to do that day. And if you're watching, let me just say once again, I am so sorry. I promise you, I am now keeping it spoiler free.
If you were going to be stranded on an island with one person of your choosing, who would it be?
If I was going to be stranded on a desert island with one person, who would I pick? It's not an easy question. I have 7 billion choices. Okay. Yep. So, a lot of people are probably going to pick someone who's like really attractive or like a great conversationalist, very entertaining. I'm going to pick Vladimir Putin. and it's not because I'm a fan, but if I was on that island and Putin just magically appears there, that means I've taken the biggest despot in the world, the most evil person walking the earth today, and he's out of circulation. I don't think in good conscience I could pass up that choice. It's going to do so much good for so many people. And then it's me, it's him, and if he wants to annex something, he'd have to annex my supply of coconuts. That's it. The people of Ukraine are okay. No World War III. No regrets. It's Putin. Let's go.
What was your childhood dream?
You know, my childhood dream was always to be the first or youngest person to accomplish something. Like, I would have loved to have been the youngest person ever to graduate from MIT, or the youngest person ever to travel to space. But as you grow old, you start to lose that dream, because when you're 9 years old and you publish an article in a physics journal, that's amazing. When you're 35 years old and you do it, you're just a nerd.
What do you do for a living?
I escaped the rat race a few years ago. I cut all my expenses drastically, so now I only need a few $100 a month to survive. I deliver food through those gig apps, but only 2 or 3 orders per day, just enough to get by. I find if I make more money than I need, I just end up buying stuff that clutters my life and makes me less happy.
If you found a wallet, would you return it?
I would return it, but I wouldn't be doing the owner a favor by doing so. People are obsessed with money and credit cards. They think money will buy them the freedom to enjoy life. Really, the quest to acquire wealth just makes you a slave to your employer. Still, it's their wallet, so of course I'd return it.
What is your biggest regret?
Working normal jobs and living a normal life as long as I did. I was always miserable when I was working. Even when I was off the clock, I was miserable. So I got out of the rat race a few years ago, and I've never been happier.
What is your biggest fear?
Global warming and pollution. Humans are killing this planet. Nature doesn't fight back, so humans are the only ones who can save the planet, but we're the ones it needs saving from. So the Earth is pretty much doomed.
If you could have any superpower, what would you choose?
Chlorokinesis. It's the power Swamp Thing has that lets him be one with plant life. I'd love to be able to communicate with nature on its own level. Plus, if I had a power like that, I'd really be able to help save the planet.
And what is your favorite holiday?
I think it's a tie between Memorial Day. There's more murders in the US on Memorial Day than any other day of the year. And All Hallows Eve, when the boundaries between the land of the living and the land of the dead are the thinnest.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't ever join a witch coven. It'll seem like a good idea at the time. But the people calling themselves witches these days, they aren't practicing real witchcraft. They're such a disappointment.
If you were going to be stranded on an island with one person of your choosing, who would it be?
Jeff Tucker. He's an old boss of mine. I really hate him. If he were trapped on that island with me, I could torture him endlessly, and he'd have no chance to escape. I could be entertained for years that way.
Describe a typical day in your life.
I wake up, I eat breakfast, I feed my familiars, I go to work. When I get home, I like to relax and work on my bug collection.
What's your most embarrassing guilty pleasure?
I like to turn off movies at the sad part, right before the end, and say that's the ending. It works for every movie. For example, in action movies, where it looks like the hero is lost. In romantic comedies, where the couple breaks up, and it looks like they'll never see each other again. You get a much more satisfying ending that way. You should try it.
That's the end of this round. We'll soon find out who will be going home after this message from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by placebos. Are you a hypochondriac? Ask your doctor if placebos are right for you. Now it's time for the audience to vote. Please enter the selection of the contestant you think should be going home. The votes are in. The audience has voted to send home Autumn.
It's probably for the best I didn't win. Lots of money rarely leads to happiness.
Let's start round 4. What's the most serious law you've ever broken?
I used to have steaks flown in from this place that I love in France. I stopped when I found out it was illegal to import meats. I don't know how serious of a crime that is, but I'm glad I never found out the hard way.
What was your childhood dream?
I'm a huge Disney fan. When I was growing up, all I ever wanted to do was date a prince and live happily ever after. Then I grew up, and I realized how unrealistic that fantasy is. I've dated a prince, and they're not charming like in the movies.
What is your biggest fear?
Getting a pimple. I've known people who have had one and they say it's awful. That's why I do a strict regimen of cleansing, toning, and moisturizing to make sure I don't get one. I heard it can happen to anyone.
If you could have any job, what would it be?
I want to design handbags and accessories. I've considered designing clothes, but I think accessories is my real passion.
If you found a wallet, would you return it?
I always return wallets when I find them. Every time. It's the right thing to do.
What's the most serious law you've ever broken?
I would say the most serious law I've ever broken is sneaking into a movie. So, in 2015, Star Wars The Force Awakens was coming out, and there was an advanced sneak preview screening beforehand. And it was invite only. So I figured out a way around that since I wasn't invited, but I did want to see it. I'm not going to tell you what theater it was or what theater chain because I do not want to get a phone call from their attorneys. But the night before this advanced screening, I went to a movie at that theater, and then I stayed in the theater all night long. I hid in the bathroom, slept there, and then the next day, I was in the theater for the screening. And there were a couple of seats opened. It wasn't completely full. So I got into the sneak preview. I saw The Force Awakens early. I'm not proud of it. It's probably a big felony, but I would do it again.
What is your proudest accomplishment?
My proudest accomplishment was getting a perfect score on my SATs in the 8th grade. So I got a 1600. It did take me 3 tries. Almost had it on the 2nd try, but took it again. And I guess you could say 3rd time's the charm.
What is your favorite holiday?
Yeah, my favorite holiday is definitely Pi Day. March 14th, 3/14, aka 3.14 as in pi. And I love it. It's not an official holiday yet, anyway, but every Pi Day, I go to a competition where, first off, there are many varieties of pie, blueberry, apple, we indulge. And then there's the competition part of it where they see who can name the most numbers after the decimal point from memory. And I won it once. I named 1,826 numbers from memory. But that's not the world record. And I don't know if I'll ever get close to that. The world record is 70,000 from memory. Happy Pi Day.
What is your most unusual pet peeve?
My most unusual pet peeve would be when I'm watching either a superhero show or a movie or maybe something about a crime fighter. They're always using their superpowers. They are always fighting crime. Time out. Let's see a little bit of the rest of their day-to-day. Because in real life, like if you're, like, let's say your job is you're in the FBI. You're not always in the FBI. You go home and you're with your wife and kids, or you go to the movies, or you eat a burrito. I want to see that. Batman. Okay, you're fighting crime at night, usually. What about during the day? What about when you have to go into Wayne Enterprises? Let's see a whole Batman movie that's just about Bruce Wayne in board meetings, signing checks, looking over the budget. He's a billionaire. Like, that's a lot of responsibilities and a lot of checks to sign. That could be a whole, how about Dark Knight rises from bed and goes into work? That's what I'm interested in. It's a pet peeve that they're only superheroing around. Yes, that's part of it, but give us a three-dimensional picture. Like Michael Knight, the Knight Rider, and Kit. Kit is a talking car, and that's pretty cool. I want to see Kit, but Michael Knight has to take Kit in for an oil change sometime. Kit has to go into the shop, get the transmission fixed. That episode, Michael Knight takes the bus to solve crime.
What is your biggest regret?
That's easy. There are many people I've encountered in my life who I didn't kill, even though they clearly deserved it. And now it's too late. I wouldn't even know where to find them.
What is your biggest fear?
Having to get one of those normal peasant jobs. One where there's a boss to report to and a clock to punch. I tried it when I was younger, and it still gives me nightmares. Not the fun kind.
What is your most controversial or unpopular opinion?
I believe that we should bring back public execution. We're already executing people in 27 states. Why not sell tickets? I know some people really hate the death penalty, but they should love this idea. Executing these prisoners in private only helps the masses not to think about it. Making it public will bring attention to it, and it gives the rest of us something to do.
What is the dumbest thing you ever did?
This rich couple used to pay me to sit for their dog. And one day he died on my watch. So I buried him in the backyard, replaced him with a look-alike from the local pet shop. The couple comes home. The new dog won't stop barking, yapping, nipping. I said he was acting normal during my watch. I got paid and I left. Anyway, he ends up biting one of them. So they put him outside, where he digs up the original, who turns out wasn't as dead as I thought. So they decided they needed to call me, text me more than dozens of times, asking me why I would bury their dog alive and try and replace him with an evil clone. I figured there was no way explaining my way out of that one, so I didn't reply.
Have you cheated on anyone?
Of course I have. I don't answer to men. If I choose to hook up with a guy, he should be eternally grateful. I certainly don't have any obligations to him afterwards.
You're the conductor on a runaway trolley. There are 5 people on the tracks ahead of you who cannot get off the tracks in time. If you continue forward, you will run over and kill all 5. You cannot stop the trolley, but you can change to an alternate track where there is only 1 person on it. If you change tracks, the 5 people on the first track will live, but the person on the alternate track will be run over and die. Do you change tracks?
This is just basic logic. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. So I would change tracks to kill 1 instead of 5.
That's the end of this round. We'll soon find out who will be going home after this message from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter K. Now it's time for the audience to vote. Please enter the selection of the contestant you think should be going home. The votes are in. The audience has voted to send home Alexis.
That's okay. This was fun. And isn't that the point of a game show?
It's now time for our final round. If you found a wallet, would you return it?
Okay. So if I found the wallet, the question of whether or not I'd return it depends. Now, if it was a 1%er, a wealthy individual, and that wallet was filled with money, I might take the money and return the wallet anonymously. If it was seemingly like just a regular person, regular working stiff, then I think I'd just return the whole thing. But if it was a Gucci wallet with gold around the sides, black card, the whole 9, I might have to take a little for myself.
What do you do for a living?
I'm going to ask that you reserve judgment. when I tell you that I am an auditor for the IRS. Now, I know a lot of people think that we are inherently evil, that we are monsters coming to take your money. No, okay? We are not evil. We're not going around trying to harass people. We don't want to screw over the little guy. And here's the thing. If you make an honest mistake on your taxes, we will send you a notice about it and ask you to settle the difference. Or if we find that you didn't include a form, a W-2 or something, send it to us. We're good. Now, if you are some rich person who's intentionally trying to game the system for your personal gain, then that might be an issue. Those are the people that get audited. The big muckety mucks who are who are just greedy. Then we will come after you.
If you could have any superpower, what would you choose?
Any superpower? You know, I'd have to go with Mr. Mixelplix's magic. Now, it might be a deep cut for some people. He's great. He's an imp from the fifth dimension, DC Comics, and he's part of the Rogues Gallery of Superman. And if you can mess with Superman, you've got some powers. And I just like that he's wily and weird. But his one weakness is he can wind up in prison in the fifth dimension if he says his own name backwards. But come to think of it, I've never said my own name backwards. So, yeah, should be fine. Yeah, let's definitely go with Mixelplix.
What is your most embarrassing memory?
Oh, yeah. I got an embarrassing memory. My most embarrassing memory was, okay, so I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old, and we were at a neighbor's house, the Harrises. They were the only house on the block that had a pool. So we'd go over there for summer afternoons, pool parties. So I was in the pool this one time with my dad, and I told him I had to pee. And he told me, just go in the pool. That's what everyone does. So again, I was really young. This was like probably right before kindergarten. And I peed in the pool and it was fine. So that became a normal thing. I would go, if I was in the pool, I would pee in the pool. Well, one summer, again, I was very young, maybe kindergarten. There was a big pool party. It was a birthday. Everyone was there from my class, the neighbors, and I had to go. I wasn't in the pool. I was standing right outside the pool, and I figured, oh, if I have to go, just go in the pool. And I stood there and peed into the pool. I quickly learned that that was wrong. Everyone was horrified. They cleared out the pool. Party was almost over. It was like I ruined the birthday. And that stigma stuck with me, let's see, if that was kindergarten, almost until high school. Yeah, I was the pool peer. Not my proudest moment.
What's your biggest fear?
Okay, my biggest fear, and this might be uncommon, but I am afraid of things that can't really happen, or things that are like an optical illusion but aren't possible in real life. So for example, M.C. Escher paintings. Like, a staircase that starts nowhere and leads to nowhere, and walls and architecture that are not possible in real life, or opening a door and a room is upside down, or just objects that move through space and do not abide by the laws of physics. Because I'm a logical person, I'm trying to wrap my head around these things, and because I can't get a toehold in logic into how that setup is occurring, I lose my bearings. And that is my biggest fear.
What would you do with the money?
I'd start my own cult, dedicated to summoning Cthulhu and bringing about the end of days.
What is your happiest memory?
When I was in the 4th grade, our teacher had a seizure in front of the whole class and died. We got to go home early. It was a double win.
What's your proudest accomplishment?
I once had these neighbors who liked to hang outside on their porch all day, blaring terrible music. I thought I could take a bat to their stereo myself and end it, but they, of course, had cameras. So I took a picture of their stereo and posted it to Craigslist under the free stuff category. Got somebody else just to take the whole stereo away. As a bonus, they also took all of their patio furniture. They never hung around outside after that.
What do you do for a living?
I have a small stand in Hollywood where I read people's fortunes from tarot cards. Now, tarot cards don't actually predict the future, but most people don't know that. Most fortune tellers will also keep their predictions vague so they can't get caught when they're lying. I don't do that. I tell all of my customers that they're going to die in a horrific car crash about 2 years out from the day they come see me. I love seeing their reactions. Plus, the really stupid ones pay for longer sessions so they can ask me a bunch of follow-up questions.
What is your most embarrassing memory?
When I was 6 years old, my parents forced me to attend the birthday party of the girl who lived next door. They fed me copious amounts of candies, cakes, ice cream. I got caught up in such a sugar rush, I actually participated in their games. The worst part was, afterwards, many of these peasants actually thought we were friends.
That's the end of this round. We'll soon find out who will be going home after this message from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Vegas Tales, the full-motion video game from the makers of Truth. A wealthy resort owner is dying and needs you to help decide who should inherit his estate. You'll be interviewing some over-the-top characters and helping choose who will become extremely wealthy. Be careful, as there may be more to some than meets the eye. Vegas Tales is available now on your favorite gaming platform. Now it's time for the audience to vote. Please enter the selection of the contestant you think should be going home. The votes are in. The $1 million prize is going to Sam.
For real? Wow. I cannot believe this. I'm not usually the winner when it comes to stuff like this. I've never done stuff like this, but this is amazing. I can't wait to start working on my film.